Soon, using parts of the web that you have to refresh, let's say by pressing F5 to see new content, will feel to you like pressing a tin can up against your ear. With PubSubHubbub, an open source server-to-server real-time communication protocol, this scenario is much more likely to come very soon. But what is real-time? Real-time is a big challenge for us developers if we develop a new application or services or web pages, because it's not only about continuous flow of information, it's also, for example, me as a user, I want to get a notification if I have a new email or new message of any kind. But let's first take a look how the communication within the internet works. Here you can see on this illustration that one server asks the other for new content. This is called polling. The other server has to check if there's new content and he has to answer. This takes important resources and time. Well, if you imagine huge services with millions of requests per second, this can be a huge problem. Before we look at the alternative, we will shortly watch a video by two Google engineers. Volume up, please. I have to.
Are we there yet?
No, not yet.
As lame as that is, that's actually how internet servers talk to each other nowadays. They say, do you have anything new for me? Do you have anything new for me?
That's called polling. And although it works, it's slow and inefficient, and about as annoying as the person in the backseat asking you,
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? The alternative is called push. It's when the origin publishers actually tell all the interested subscribers when there actually is something new.
Okay. As mentioned, the alternative is called push. Put in one simple sentence, you could say the server takes the content and forwards it to the other server without being asked for it. This illustration shows PubSubHubbub implementation. There is one server, he pushes the update to the hub. The hub is, you could imagine it as some kind of data distribution. The hub asks for the content again and pushes the content forward to the client. The client could also be a server or a service, so it doesn't have to be a browser. Well, I wanted to use PubSubHubbub because it sounded interesting and was open source. I wanted to create something that was useful for me and helped me, so I decided to create a web application. But before I will tell you about that, I faced a small problem. As PubSubHubbub is intended from server to server, I had to close the gap between a server and the browser, let's say the client. For this, I used a service that is called PubNub, which operates on the PubSubHubbub technology. But with PubNub, it's possible to push everything to a mobile, to a server, to the Internet of Things. So this really closes the gap. Well, coming back to my demonstration application, last year we had a lot of group projects with up to 8 people. It was very hard to communicate really fast if you had just a small task or just a small question. You had to type in every email address. It was too much of a hassle. So I decided to create a lightweight project management tool that focused on the important, well, for me, most important thing, real-time communication. If you need help for a task or just say you're finished, that's the most important thing. Out there are many great project management tools, so there was no use in coding them. So I just focused on the most important functionality. I will show you my application now in a live demonstration. For that, I already opened it. Say I log in. I will just show you the most important functionality, I think. And this is projects. As you see here, I didn't finish my project, and for this I still have time. But I will log in with another user too to simulate the real time. Oh, see? Always giving useful feedback. As you can see, this design is of course responsive. Let's say both users choose the first project. Of course, there is a short overview, what the project is about. Then there are the tasks. And let's go to the messaging section. Let's say one user changes a task, updates it. In real time, you see on the other side that there has been an update. And who was that? Nice. Okay. If we refresh, I shouldn't have told anybody the password. If I refresh that now, we go back to messages. Every one of these messages is stored in a database. Of course, for users who join the project later and want to know. Okay. Yeah, that was my high security implementation of passwords. Okay. But there's another feature that these messages were auto-generated if you delete a task or create a task. Of course, as you see, you can also send messages and, yeah, nice. And the other user sees it in real time. Let's go back to the presentation. Okay, but what does that mean for us developers? Real-time does not make sense in every kind of application, but as soon as you have some kind of important notification or data, just use it to provide the user of your application some more attachment to your application, that he feels like more integrated. As you saw, I used messaging to provide an example. I sent JSON, but it could also be used for any kind of data. You could program real-time games with it. So I recommend it to try it, and thank you for your attention.